everybody, it's Rob here with another edition of the AGvisor podcast. We're here with Dave Nussbaumer, and he's with Lakeview Insurance. Dave, you've got a number of offices scattered throughout Saskatchewan. What are the locations?
Under our Yorkton branch, we have Yorkton, Lake Lenore, Humboldt, Stoughton, Regina, Norquay, but we all fall under a blanket out of Winnipeg.
Okay, so you're out of a blanket out of Winnipeg, but kind of that eastern and northeastern side of Saskatchewan.
Yes, call it our farm division. We all sell farm insurance, but our Yorkton branch really focuses on programs and dealing with the ag industry, and it's kind of our hub of farm business out of the Lakeview branches.
Okay, well, thanks for being a part of AGvisor Pro and supporting this podcast series, Dave. We've been talking about insurance. We've had a couple of different topics, one on coverage level, one in liability. It's December and it's been kind of stormy outside, and yet you are on the road visiting farmers, doing on-farm visits, and I want to spend a little bit of time getting into your brain about why you do that and you know, the value to farm customers of you spending some time with them.
Well, a lot of times in our industry, brokers are becoming specialized, and so we've taken that route, and we did 30 years ago to have specialized programs, and that typically means going to their operations, whether it was a dairy operation. We used to have an equine ranch or PMU business program, seed grower program we're just launching this week. In fact, we're at a seed show today in Brandon, Manitoba growers. So we specialize. We do things a little differently.
Do you have somebody that's focusing in on that seed meeting in Brandon, then? That's their area?
We have my 3 partners are down there now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, we specialize and we learn the industry. You know, we take it to heart. We learn the industry, and we can usually offer better coverages.
Okay, so you said that you were just on a dairy operation, and you know, first of all, we understand that dairy operations can be capital intensive, but you also talked about the pace of change in the dairy operation. How much has changed even since your last visit on the farm?
You know, farms are diversifying, and within the organizations, I have 2 dairy operations outside of Saskatoon. One just opened up. I'm going to give them a plug, Twin Peaks Creamery, an ice cream place just north of, they literally sell ice cream off the farm. And
Twin Peaks
Creamery.
Where? North of?
They're just 15 minutes north of town, the Prune family.
North of Saskatoon?
North of Saskatoon.
Okay, yeah.
And I would have never guessed a year and a half ago when we did the insurance for the ice cream portion of it, how busy they'd be. They're lined up out the door all summer long.
I just got back from Ontario, the Canadian Outstanding Young Farmer event, which was really a great event. And how many of those nominees from the provinces are doing outreach or capitalizing on kind of farm direct to consumer? This is what your dairy is doing.
That dairy is doing that. And yesterday I was at a dairy just out west of Saskatoon, and they're building a cheese factory, and it's not small. It's a large operation. Large cheese factory. So it's happening. And again, in both situations, it's the children that are bringing these ideas to the table. It's not the parents. It's the children.
Wow, that's interesting. So you've got the parents that have built what I would call the commodity business, and now the kids are coming along and building the value add business.
Exactly, and they're literally taking their own milk and making ice cream and cheese.
So when you sit down with an operation, what do you call that? That meeting that you have with them? What do you?
It's a business meeting.
Okay, business meeting or a review. Yeah, and typically, how often would you do that with a farming operation?
Every year.
Every year
on larger operations, unless they don't want us to come out. Some operations are more diligent in getting us information, and some, sometimes they just kind of take for granted that we're coming out, and they don't let us know about a few things, and so we make the changes then.
So when you are on the farm, are you doing an interview and then kind of an inventory of what they have?
Review all machinery, any building adjustments. A couple of years ago, we went through a large uptick with steel bins, the values. and so many fellas were underinsured just because of the inflation of steel bins. And this year in particular, combines are dropping. So we're reevaluating all the values on the farm policy. And if there's a dairy,
You say combines are dropping,
combine prices are dropping. Yeah.
so that's bringing down the value that you need to insure. Or
Correct.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
right.
Saving them some money.
Saving some money. Okay,
There's no use over-insuring for things. Business interruption, dairy operations, seed growers all carry business interruption. If they lose their barn or seed cleaning facility, they're typically out some money through income, and they get compensated for that.
huh? The annual review, I think, would be important because a lot of times people are buying stuff throughout the course of the year. They don't even pay attention that, these things are new to the operation. You'd pick up on that.
We review it, and unless there's a bank involved, I mean, when you're buying a new combine, the banks automatically require a loss payable before funds are released. But then, you just buy a smaller tractor for $100,000 and they pay cash for it.
Yep.
We come out there and, hey, did you buy anything this year? And all of a sudden, oh yeah, I bought this. Oh yeah, I bought this auger. It's all part of I've seen it happen year over year.
Man, I think back to the farming days and the stuff that, we would just make a decision to build stuff. And all of a sudden you just make a decision, and a couple months later there's some brand new building on the farm. And a lot of times you didn't even think about it. And
It's never a problem until there's a problem.
so if you go back, I love sharing stories with you, Dave. If you go back in time, what is some of the farm visits where you were sitting down with a husband and wife, and all of a sudden you brought this forward, or all of a sudden there's this big surprise about stuff that was on the farm that they had completely forgot about? You got any stories?
Not in particular, but the one thing that does happen often is the spouse, who's always in the background, and the husband this is usually the husband's
Domain or whatever.
and the spouse is in the background. And anytime a husband makes a mistake, the spouse is on it. And I told you to call that in. I remember I reminded you, and you get these little stories like that. But for the most part, they're pretty good about it. Everyone's just, they're busy and they forget sometimes.
Dave, trends in insurance have been, there's been a lot of catastrophic losses due to weather and hail events come to damage a bunch of equipment or whatever. As you stare into the farming future, the amount of money that farmers are spending on insurance, that's an increasing, it's an increasing budget. But like you said, if the valuation in combines and things like that go down, then they need to review that. How big of a component is the insurance, and what do you see going into the future in terms of farmers and their insurance, um, obligation and that sort of thing?
As farms grow, and depending on what kind of operation is, like I say, I deal with a lot of dairy, the old equine ranch business, seed growers. When you lose a facility, you can have the best insurance on your facility or your dairy barn, but if you don't carry proper business interruption or aren't insuring your cows to the proper values, it doesn't matter. You can put the barn up, but you're still going to have ongoing costs of your operation. Even when you're building the barn, you need that income to still make the tractor payments and make your car payments. And, that's what the business interruption comes in. And a lot of operations look at that as a bit of an oversight.
So business interruption insurance, I could see that discussion being an interesting one, because assuming a dairy barn burns down or a seed facility, that puts you out of business for a year, basically, doesn't it?
Well, longer.
Well,
To build. We're dealing with a seed plant right now that got caught in the storm here this past summer up by Warman, and knocked all the legs down, and it took 2 months just to get the process started to start putting legs up. So they're going up as we speak, but they're potentially out a few months of cleaning receipts. So it becomes a bit of a little pressure. Now there's parts of your business interruption that will give you some coverages to haul it elsewhere to get cleaned, but it's got to be a registered seed establishment.
mhm.
They have to have the time to do it. So there's so many factors there.
And while they're dismantling and dealing with the damage, they've got to consider their customer base, and they got to be looking at the rebuild. And
100%. And it's all part of the puzzle, and they potentially are out for, if you go to rebuild a dairy barn is a better example that burns to the ground, it's a minimum 18 months to get up and running. Minimum 18 months. And we always put that much business interruption in place. We don't do 12 months anymore. Contractors and rules and regulations and getting everything in place, it's never a 1-year build like it used to be. It used to be a 1-year build. Now it's closer to 18 months.
well, I hadn't actually thought about the length of span in a farming operation for business interruption insurance. In the city, if your retail shop burns down, you have to replace it and you restock it and you're back in business in a number of months. But on a farming operation, that cycle could be well over a year. Yeah.
You have to get dairy cows. Use dairy as the example. You have to get dairy cows. Well, you just don't buy them, and you just don't throw them in the barn, and they don't produce 100% day one. Take time to get them, they have to get settled in. It's a process. And so, yeah, we sell business interruption from 18 to 24 months. The farmer decides that. And that's the minimum, though, we would sell is 18 months.
When you sit down with a farm and do this annual review with them, what would you like them to prepare?
You know what? They usually prepare nothing. I announce that I'm coming or I'm in the area, and they say, yes, they can see me, and we jockey around and we can't always see them at the right time sometimes. And we come back. And so it's all by memory. Most of the time I ask them the questions, and surprising, and I'll pick on dairy because been at a few the last couple of days. We have to increase cows right away. They say, oh yeah, cows are $5,000 now. They're not $4,000.
Yep.
And they know it. They don't do it. So we preempt that. That's part of our knowledge of a particular industry. And so we understand that they need to increase that. Same with business interruptions, been a little rate increase for the guys. So we jumped up their business income just based on their gross sales now.
Just to the story that you were just sharing me, the fact that you are concentrating your knowledge in dairy, seed cleaning, the farming business, gives you insight as you visit the next customer that there's things that they probably aren't thinking about that because you picked it up already.
We bring it to their attention, because if not, historically in our industry, the insurance industry, get policy, throw it in the mail. The onus is on the insured, but we get paid. And so to us, in our way of thinking, we have a responsibility to initiate the call, the visit. That's what we get paid for. Is it awkward? Is it long? We're on the road lots? Sure. But this is our business. And so why wouldn't we try to do a better job? Because if there is a loss, and we all hear the stories, so they had a loss, they didn't have enough business interruption, and ultimately it is the fault of the producer or the farmer, because that's their responsibility. We just know that historically farmers don't, not just farmers, all business people, unless you initiate those conversations, it's insurance.
On the one of the last podcasts we did, you talked about the simplicity of just picking up the phone or texting you or emailing you that, hey, we bought this or this is new. And that's the extent that the farmer really needs to do, is just let you know.
That's it.
That's it.
One text, coverage is bound.
There we go. Yeah. So you've been doing this a long time. Why do you do it? Why do you love doing it?
That's a good question. I retired once for a few years when I left one firm. But you know what? I like people. I like farmers. And you have to have something to do. And I've got some young guys under me now, and not that I'm coaching them, but we're just doing things together.
I'm sure you are a coach.
A little bit. Yeah, they're learning some stuff. And hence now we have a new program out for seed growers, and we actually have one for the poultry industry that's going to be announced this next week or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or another industry that's been lacking in maybe some program stuff for certain coverages that they're affected by. The avian flu is one that we're looking at as a partial, some of the coverages for them in that department.
So you're moving into the feathers.
Feathers, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. That's good.
Just no fins.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate these conversations we have. I think these are very easy conversations, but I hope a reminder to our farmers. Thanks for being on AgVisor Pro. Thanks for being on these podcasts with us. And I know today we're visiting with the Power Farm Group, and you're here in Saskatoon with us, and I appreciate that as well. And I think that we may cross paths with you in Maricopa, Arizona.
I think that might happen.
All right. Dave, thanks a lot for being on the AgVisor podcast. Thank you very much. And if you guys want to look up, Dave, where did they get a hold of you? They can get a hold of you on AgVisor Pro, but where else?
LakeviewInsurance.com. Just Google us. You'll find us. We're out there. And Google our names. You'll find us. We're all out there.
Noosebauer.
Noosebomber.
Noosebomber.
Rob's got to get it.
I-
Took 3 takes to get that.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Thanks, Rob.